Let's get it. What's good with the world? What's good with everybody out there in the internet land? This is the Chop Up Show. I am Damo, the political plug. I'm here with Toya G. Live your life in HD. This is the Chop Up. We appreciate y'all for joining us on another Thursday. You know, it's a billion places y'all could be, but y'all here with us, and it's a special day.
Yeah,
because we are here to celebrate the end, the culmination. I don't want to say the end. I'll say the culmination of Black History Month with our Black History Month Awards. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to all y'all. Toya, how are you doing?
I'm well as well. You know what I'm saying? Living blackity black. If y'all don't know, that's what the shirt say. Just in case y'all curious, let me make sure we get the thumbnail together. Right. Blackity black in the building. Definitely glad to be here celebrating Black History Month with y'all. And the whole vibe and situation is beautiful. We about to really get into some of these categories and our choices that we went with. Hopefully y'all are able to contribute something to the conversation. Shout out to Nico in the chat. What's good with it? But we about to have a good time. I'm feeling good.
So without further ado, we might as well go ahead and get right into it. This is the Chop Up Show 4th annual Black History Month Awards, the Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Awards. Now, the reason why we do this, just so y'all know, this is the 4th time we've done it, but the reason why we do it is because what Carter G. Woodson wanted with Negro History Week, it wasn't to be like, this is the day we celebrate the history. You know what I'm saying? It was more so, this is a day that we take the time, or this is a week that we take the time out to point out, like, to recognize, you know what I'm saying, what Black people are doing and what Black people have done. Absolutely. Right? So this isn't this is the day where we celebrate Black history. We missed you too, Nico. This is the day that we take the time out to speak on, to point out, to identify, as we do all year. But for sure, today, celebrate the great things that Black folks have done. That's both past and present. Last year we got to do this at the NAACP Image Awards down in Hollywood. This year, Lee is actually nominated for a NAACP Image Award. So you know, that's how things level up. Right. Beautiful. So with that being said, without further ado, we can go ahead and get right into the conversation. We are going to start the 4th annual Black History Month Awards, Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Awards, with the first award that we handed out, the Lost in the Sauce Award. Yes, we got to start this show by pointing out and identifying certain an individual who we feel best displays being lost in that sauce. As we get into that, Toya, what does being lost in the sauce mean to you?
I mean, I think if Consciously were here, he would talk about the ways in which you might exist in a particular way or in a particular space, or have a particular level of power that has been misused, has been abused, has been misunderstood. And so it's led you to, you know, while you could be out here just really knocking it out of the park and living beautiful and doing great things and touching lives and, you know, living in your full capacity, you want some nonsense. Instead of doing that, you got some weird shit going on, you know. And I think we 4.5 minutes in, so I'm gonna just say, like, you step in the wrong direction. And so I think being lost in the sauce is just a reflection of a series of misguided, misled decision making, which I think this person definitely fits that bill.
I think that a great explanation to you. And the winner, unanimously, for the 4th annual Black History Chop Up Show, Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Awards.
Yeah.
Lost in the Sauce. Akon. We're giving it to Akon this year. Y'all. Mainly for some statements that he's been making recently that's kind of pointing out more so what he think about Black people and women uniquely. It was a statement that he made about...
before you even get into the statement he made, you know, I feel like Akon is lost in the sauce, and he's the epitome of this definition. Because if y'all remember, nobody wants to see us together, but it don't matter because I got you. Just real cool little stuff. Smack that, oh, smack that, like just nice. I think my college era, my high school college era, was painted by some Akon bangers, and so you know, knowing Akon, we gotta be clear about what he did. He's taken a lot of his resources back to the country that he's from. I don't remember the Akon's country of origin, but has taken a lot of things, has done a lot of work, has built a lot of infrastructure, and done beautiful things for the people in the continent of Africa, and that's fine. But then he started being on some weird shit, and I just wanted to be clear about the fact that he was doing all right, and then he deviated. And so, Plug, what were you saying? What were you about to explain about when Akon got kind of weird on us a little bit?
Yeah, it's really been more so recently. It's really been more so recently. He made some comments about one, the difference between African artists and Black artists, right? Creating that distinction. I think like we all know Diaspora Awards help no one. You feel me? And like we like Black people specifically. Like I'm a student of Malcolm X. He said himself, you can't hate the roots of the tree and not hate the tree. You can't have a negative perception of Africa and not have a negative perception of yourself. I think the same thing works both ways though. Like people of the continent, if they have a negative perception of Black people in America, it's another part of that. That's also a reflection of self-hatred. Cause shit, we come from you. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely.
So with like Akon taking part in Diaspora Awards, especially like on Vlad TV of all places, and Nico said he's Senegalese, which I figured I was gonna say that but I want to make sure.
Shout out to Nico.
But yeah, so like for Akon to be engaging in Diaspora Awards when you've come to the United States and really built your career off like Black music. I mean, yeah, you did your thing with he had relationships with Lady Gaga and all that. But come on, niggas, man, go ahead.
I mean, that on top of the fact that I think he did the weird thing where you tear down in order to uplift. Like he was talking about the comparison between American hip hop and like Afrobeat, right? And how a lot of that music and a lot of the moves that's being made on them in terms of these different African artists are just so much better qualitative and have such a bigger impact and just have a better long-term trajectory and a better richness. And it's just like, again, why do you have to undermine and shit on things in order to celebrate and appreciate other things, right? We have a beautiful, I think more now than ever before, such a wide lane, right? For different artists to get their shine, to do their thing, to push a movement, to get people listening to their music and to get it appreciated. You can run it up on TikTok. You can run it up in terms of streams. You can run it up in terms of mainstream music. And that's what artists like, Burna Boy have done, and various other artists that he's familiar with or that he is ushered in on the scene. But you don't have to talk bad about American hip hop because that's your bread and butter when it's all said and done. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Astro. Good evening.
Right. And so another way that another comparison he made when he was talking to Vlad TV, he said in Senegal, we've kind of overcome the thought of slavery. We don't even think about it. The only time we think about it, honestly, is when we're doing tours at Goree Island. Outside of that, people have lived and moved way beyond the slavery concept. Now, what's problematic with this way of thinking is that when you're in Africa, right, and all you see is African people, and you see African people in control of everything, and African people exchanging goods with other African people, then it's easy to forget about slavery, right? Because like your entire society isn't situated around it. What people ignore about the United States, American culture as a whole, is built on chattel slavery, anti-Blackness, and the degradation of Black people. It's built on it. Whiteness don't exist without it. The way that we understand racism globally was created within the relationship between Black people in the United States and white people. So it's like, it's ridiculous to even think that Black people who live under certain circumstances that we see perpetuated by a particular class of people, like to say that like we should forget about it when we see the results of it today. Oh, I don't know if I'm frozen or if Toya frozen. Is that you or me, Toya?
Can
Okay, it's you. You was kind of. It's a delay now. It's a delay now.
All right, but am I good now?
You good, but it's a hell of a delay.
All right.
So yeah,
Well, keep, let me just
just go out, and come back in. Yeah, just go out and come back in. Yeah, so as Toya do that. So what we have to understand, Akon lost in the Sauce Award for the 4th annual Black History Month Awards for the simple fact that somebody who has built their legacy and a part of who they are on Black culture and Black people to attempt to then kind of use like the same culture and platform to perpetuate Diaspora Awards. Yeah, you get the Lost in the Sauce Award. Anything you want to add to that before we move on to you?
Listen, I just want to shout out Winter Dragon, Numo Spec Media, and Nico for still rocking with us. Thank y'all for y'all patience. I'm back in the building, but that was the Lost in the Sauce Award. Shout out or not shout out, depending on how you want to read it, to Akon. What's the next topic? What's the next category, Rodney?
All right, so the next category that we're getting into is the Memorial Maya Angelou Black Woman of the Year Award.
The Black Woman of the Year Award. Okay, so there are going to be some topics, the debater in us and the stubborn person in us can't really agree on some of these topics. So I definitely want to get y'all's take in the comments. Make sure y'all chiming in and talking. If y'all disagree, if y'all have better candidates to kind of throw into the pool, or nominees rather, let us know. Shout out to Trevor in the building. But the Woman of the Year, the Maya Angelou Woman of the Year Award, from my perspective, should go to none other than Quinta Brunson, right? We know Quinta has had an amazing run on Abbott Elementary. We know that Quinta I was familiar with Quinta even before, he got money, or you got money. I was watching a lot of her material, a lot of the articles she was writing, a lot of the different posts she was making on BuzzFeed. Right. And there was, a mass exodus from BuzzFeed because there was issues with the work culture, with the pay, with the amount of content they had to crank out at their height, which is probably in the mid 2010s. Right. But since then, she done had successful miniseries, been, a successful kind of memer of that generation, of that society, somebody to really take Instagram, adapt to TikTok, move through different spaces. And now one of the hit shows in the country, with Abbott Elementary. And I don't want to just, focus only on those accolades, but also to remind you all that, she is making investments in Philadelphia area schools. On a few different occasions, she has been seen and marked as giving I think $20,000 and $40,000 to two different teachers at a particular school that then they were able to take some of, but also use to put back in their classrooms. I think also across Philadelphia schools, different supplies and resources have been made generally available to students to teachers and faculty and to different schools to fill some of the gaps and holes in their resources. And then I also think she funded a couple book fairs. So Abbott Elementary or Quinta's to partnered up with, y'all remember the book fairs by Scholastic. Shout out to Scholastic. They've been running the game for a long time in children's literature.
A whole monopoly on it.
Look, I know they struggling though, because everything they crank out been put on the banned book list, but we're not gonna talk about that. Instead, she has been a part of supporting a lot of different book fairs and giving kids access to free books. And so love Quinta, love everything she represents. Show's been renewed, I think, for a third season. Stylistically, I'm not an Office girl, but I get it. We love Tyler James. We love the look offs to the camera and the moments where they peek in. Shirley Ralph is also somebody who, has been great in carrying the show. It's just so many great and phenomenal actors that are really pushing. And so my vote is for Quinta. Now, the plug done left, and he's back. And so he's about to share with y'all his nominee right now that we know that Quinta's off. Plug for Maya Angelou Woman of the Year. Who are you nominating? Who are you choosing?
I gotta go with Leticia James, man.
Who is
Leticia James? Leticia James is the Attorney General of the state of New York. And the reason why I think she deserves all the recognition is the reason why I believe she deserves all the recognition is because I gotta lay out the narrative, right? I gotta paint the picture.
Right.
The last presidency, we dealing with a rebound president, right? The last presidency was wild. It was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
We saw somebody like Donald Trump get up there and say, I could shoot somebody in the middle of the street and get away with it because I'm cool like that. And people ate that up. Like they like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like they stood on that, right? So it was like all throughout the Trump presidency, because of the people that were situated around him, it seemed like it was a lack of accountability, right? Situated around Donald Trump. It was like no matter what he did outside of normal political correctness, no matter what he did, just outside of the realm of decency.
Yeah.
You feel me? It was like he could get away with it. It was like it wasn't no touching.
He can slide his ass around everything for sure.
And so now he ain't president. He don't got that, like he's no longer, all the Republicans can't benefit from him. So all those protections that he had, he ain't under that no more. Mm-hmm. And the first person to put their foot on his neck, or more so up his ass, has been Attorney General of the state of New York, Leticia James. Like ever since, ever since he lost, she has taken the full weight of the state of New York and put it on his neck in terms of the Trump organization, him valuing properties. They're literally being sued for hundreds of millions of dollars.
Can I ask a question to the political plug? Are types of proceedings like these ones that, like, what do we know about them or their development? Are they ones that we kind of find out more so on the back end? And so we don't really know what stages they're in. And we like, what do we know about the cases and the trials and things like that have been happening with Trump?
So as it's going now, like we get the updates as it's happening, right? So like right now, she's won a few of the more recent battles. So like in order to like slow the process, what Donald Trump does is he does a bunch of frivolous lawsuits. Like he sues right now. He attempted to sue to block him being sued. Okay. And as of last month,
the old answer a question with a question, huh?
Well, I mean, it's essentially it's like as it take place, like every update we right there, like we have the information for it, right? Yeah. And like the most recent news to come out is he was being sued by Leticia James back in September, $250 million, right? For lying to lenders, insurers, and all of that fraudulent evaluations on their properties.
Okay.
He attempted to sue her, saying that the only reason she was suing him was not because what he was doing was fraudulent, but because she a Democrat. Because she a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the judge, like it was supposed to, they thought it was gonna be a real battle, but the judge came back and was like, nah, it's not what it is. This is moving forward, right? And she already got people flipping. Right, we already have people who are testifying against the Trump organization, who are part of the Trump organization. There has been depositions that have been released where Donald Trump has came out and just straight up said, "I plead the fifth," hundreds of times. In depositions. Now this is civil. This isn't a criminal trial. It's a civil trial. But it's liable to break the Donald Trump bank, like to where he like all his access to bread, all his access to loans, mortgages, all of those type of things. Yeah, it's meant to be done. Donald Trump ain't gonna be able to borrow $5 in the state of New York after Leticia James get done with his ass. So that's why my nominee for the Black Woman of the Year award, Leticia James.
Yeah. Okay. Jump. Before we make a decision, I think we probably gonna play rock, paper, scissors to figure this out. Jump to the comments because we got some nominees over there. Let's see who else is thinking one Black Woman of the Year award.
Nico said Stacy Abrams.
Always commendable. Always commendable.
Right. I think we gave it to Stacy Abrams a couple of years ago. I think
maybe so.
Yeah, because Stacy Abrams been doing her thing for a while. But she been losing though, and it's stressful because it's like the system is rigged against her. So it's like to say that Stacey Abrams is losing is just like it's set up for, like she really don't stand a shot. But I like me saying that she's been losing isn't to say that it's like what she does isn't significant, because it is. I'm a huge Stacey Abrams fan, but it's just like, damn, we got to find some way to get her over the hump. And not blame black men. Anybody else? Numo, Trevor said that gotta add Ketanji Brown Jackson. Ketanji Brown Jackson, she's dope as well. And we'll talk more about her in the show later. But I think I give it to Leticia over Ketanji Brown Jackson primarily because, again, like she's like, when it comes to like holding Trump accountable or him suffering any real consequences, few people have put him in a position to do so. And like right now, she's on the precipice to hold him accountable for shit that he's been doing for years in ways that nobody else has been willing to do it. You know what I'm saying? And nobody else has been effective at doing it. And she about to do that. So
absolutely.
How you want to decide this, to you? Now, Keita,
I want to make sure we shout out Sherilyn Ifill, who an American lawyer, law professor, and former president and direct counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, was that president for a long period of time. And I'm not overly familiar with her, but I do know and have heard of her in some context. So you're giving me people to get familiar with, that way I can understand who's really out here being the backbone and a great contributor to what we're doing and how we're moving and grooving as a people. Rock, paper, scissors, best 2 out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors, and then shoot. Ready?
Real quick, I do want to say this about Quinta.
Her name is Quinta Brunson. Yes.
Quinta.
You know we was having show before the show. You got it right. I'm sorry.
So, all right. But what I appreciate about her is that the way that she's like depicting like inner city elementary school. Like I went to a school like Abbott Elementary, like small. You feel me? Like really, I didn't have millennial teachers, of course. You know what I'm saying? Because that was us. We grew up into that. But that school reminds me, and I'm not even a big TV person, and like she get like the stuff that she makes can get me in front of a TV. So shout out to her.
Absolutely.
But so rock, paper, scissors. 2 out of 3, right?
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. 1, 2, 3. Right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I think the delay is gonna make this not work out. Listen, the COVID Black Women of the Year award are absolutely Quinta Brunson
and Leticia James. They both win it.
There it is. We love it.
They both win it. Quinta Brunson. Hey, and listen. Don't shoot people that call her Quinta. You feel me? Like some niggas just got accents and it is what it is. So
his name is Quinta.
Shout out to all the great Black women doing things out here for Black people. All right, get into the next award.
Next award.
This one we really want y'all participation with, because with this award we need help. This is the I Just Don't Get It award.
Mm-hmm.
The I Just Don't Get It award. The I Just Don't Get It award is framed around a Black cultural phenomenon that we're watching it play out. We're seeing what's going down, and we don't get it. we don't get
the allure, we don't get the attraction, we don't get why this is a thing, but it's a thing, and so we're going to acknowledge the thing, but also the fact that we just don't get it.
We just don't get it. Toya,
okay,
can you do the honors?
We kind of struggle. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, we try to respect people's lanes and what they do. I think some honorable mentions. I know some controversial people out here in social media that have been around for a while, like Gorilla Boy, I think, or the gorilla guy that, dances, the big Black man that dances and eats watermelon.
Oh, yeah.
But he's been blowing up the timelines here recently in these last couple of weeks because people have just had enough. They're fed up. And some people, I think it was not a real account that got suspended on TikTok, but then some people got suspended on TikTok, and other people was like, well, damn, we don't like him, but that I mean you got to take away his livelihood. So it's been a lot of back and forth about the Gorilla Man. If y'all know who I'm talking about, he's the big buff Black dude, always dancing crazy in public places. He's been seen eating watermelons, which represents old school images of minstrel shows and different characters and figures. So a lot of people are bent out of shape about that. Then you also got the chicken boy. The chicken, he eats chicken like woo, 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 woo. He does a bunch of weird mannerisms in terms
that
of
one I haven't seen. I haven't seen anything about the chicken boy.
Around. Yeah. He getting his licks too. Now both of them have been out for a long time, and people are just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Whatever. But my winner, our choice, and I think we finally agreed upon 2 choices that are just like, why is this ever on my timeline, and why do people care about this and give this energy and attention? Right. And that would be none other than Blueface and Krishan, right? Blueface and Krishan. Now, I don't get it, right? Bust Down Tatiana was a little ditty. I won't lie. You know what I'm saying? Like woo woo woo, bust down Tatiana, the cute little dance. Like I get it. Like whatever. It was what it was. The man don't rap on beat. But he is gang affiliated, largely hated.
Not at all. Like he don't rap on beat at all.
Sure. And there's a whole generation of population of hip hop fans who enjoy that shit. Not for me. So the fact that they are both on my timelines incessantly, I'm talking about, I don't follow a thing that they do. I don't follow a page that they have. I don't follow anything, but they are always somewhere, right? And I can see them. It's just like, it's overwhelming. And the reason why is that one of two things is true. Either we're, because they done got a show on Zeus. I didn't watch clips of him, Blueface fight Krishan Daddy and all types of just things that I should have never seen. But I'm talking about came to fisticuffs, honey. Fault. And I mean, it's just
the brother is the social media beef between the brother and them.
Listen,
it's so before you get to your take, because you have a really good question that you want to ask. You have a really good question. I just want to say this though. Like celebrity culture has shifted to where reality TV shapes scripted shit, right? Like I guess we could call it the non-fiction fiction.
Yeah.
Right, because it's supposed to be real TV, but it's not real. Yeah, I mean, when we start seeing this type of shit, that's when we kind of got to draw the line. What end up happening is like the more bullshit that we allow, the more nonsense that is just like, oh, okay, oh my God, this is crazy. Y'all look, and we share it to say, y'all look, this is crazy. That's what gives it the
attention that we don't want to give it. Yeah.
That's how we give it the platform. So our desire to be like, y'all, look at this wild shit and like put it out there makes it to where that wild shit didn't come off as acceptable. And it's not that we're sharing it because we think it's something that should represent us, but we're trying to show other people what's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you know what they say? All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. And it's working. I mean, people get paid off of clicks, they get paid off of whatever, they get paid off of views. All of that shit is a money grab. And so they have found a way to really stimulate our attention. My question is this: are we really into, like, are people really watching and keeping track of and like incessantly watching Blueface and Krishan? Like, is that some shit y'all really into? Or because that's abuse. Like, I forgot to use the domestic abuse word, that phrase, but they are just de facto standard fare domestic abuse. And so my question is like, is that really what y'all into? Or let me ask about this other theory. People say that, like, these are industry plants. They don't do nothing. They don't make no music. All they do is make Instagram stories and random ass posts and fights and shit. And now she's pregnant, but he done knocked her tooth out. She got the tattoo on her neck. You know what I'm saying? Like, are these just people here to distract us? Like, what how did we get here? Right. Hold on real quick. I'm live on the Chop Up Show page. Shout out to everybody right now in the comments. Right above it said, it's basically saying we spitting facts, and that is really kind of hard to understand, what it is, but they're not really into that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad somebody's like, that's not my cup of tea, because that's not my cup of tea either. But
I think what happens is we look at industry plant as somebody that's like that straight COINTELPRO. Like, I'm really a CIA agent, but I'm here, you know what I'm saying, to try to spew like nonsense. I'm acting. No. Industry plant are the people who these industries have incentivized to act like this, and they said okay.
Yeah.
To me, the industry plant is the people that's like, we know, all right, they saying that if I get on here and I'm fighting girls and I'm cussing every girl out, you know what I'm saying, and I'm fighting men, and I'm drunk and I'm throwing my body and we throwing drinks and it's violence and it's all of that, right? Like, if we know that get clicks in a world where clicks cut checks,
yeah.
Ooh, right, I'll be that.
It's just rough. We've seen, the development of reality show culture, and now reality shows you don't have to get a contract at a on a station or with a company or whatever to be able to tell your story. Now you can just press live and do your own reality show, right? And people will tune in and they'll tap in, and every time somebody see you live, they're willing to gravitate to that shit. And so I think the power that you have to make money and to draw attention and to eventually get contracts with major studios like Zeus, right? And to eventually be seen as legitimate media is frightening. You know what I'm saying? Because they beat each other up. Right. And I know mutual abuse, or the idea of mutual abuse, is something that is very much frowned upon in terms of domestic violence, because, we're not thinking about or talking about power. So I don't want to go down that path. Right. I'm not saying mutual abuse. I'm saying they clobber the shit out of each other. Right. A couple of Instagram comments I want to get to. Lex Luxury Skin said, I don't understand why she won't leave him. I think it's the trauma that's keeping her. It's like the Bad Girls Club. Women are willing to do the most just for likes and views. Again, that kind of what I just call trash TV, trash reality TV, where we pay good money to see niggas fight each other. Like, as much as I'm into, and I used to be into, like, the different Real Hip Hop, Loving Hip Hop Atlantas, and the Loving Hip Hop, like all the different shows, I really had to start looking away. Like, it's really cringeworthy to watch niggas just. Every scene is a new scene where most of the commentary is bleeped out and niggas just throwing drinks and fighting each other. Like, after a while, that's just not it no more. Right above it said, you know what? Well, I'm gonna read this last comment. Right above it says, I know because they know what sells and they try to panic or try to paint a false stigma of Black relationships to the public, which is also, I'm reluctant to use agenda, because I know there's no piece of paper or bulletin board somewhere with like an itemized list of all the things to do to deteriorate and deplete the image of Black people. But I do know that it is a tool and a common tactic for people to be able to say, look at them niggas. You know what I'm saying? And use that as an excuse or a justification to be dismissive of real quality, meaningful, loving relationships. And so, I mean, that's unfortunate. But I just, when I look at Krishada Blueface, it's just like, I don't understand the appeal. I don't understand why they get the airtime they get. And I think it's a reflection of us and what we into and what we got to start giving attention and energy to. So,
no, and again, we have to reframe what we understand as plants, right? It's like, yes, we don't have to think that it like these people are actual agents in order for them to produce the same outcomes that we assume and we say agents produce.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They can be controlled opposition, right? They could be like at the same time. Like, it's still, there is a concerted effort, even if it's not written out in the manual to say destroy the image of Black people. There's still a concerted effort to make money off that. So with that being said, moving on.
Yeah.
Let's get back to something a little bit more productive, which I feel, kind of flips the conversation. And I want to get to the More Than a Vibe Award.
More Than a Vibe.
The More Than a Vibe Award. The More Than a Vibe Award is situated around music.
Mm-hmm.
What artist in the music industry has had an impact on Black culture outside of just the music that they put out? Like, outside of just the bangers, outside of the jams, concerts, etc. And we pretty much in agreement with the More Than a Vibe Award, right?
Absolutely. And I want to make sure we shout out Hope in the chop up chat real quick on the IG. Shout out to y'all. If y'all want to know, we on YouTube and we're on Instagram. I'm sorry, and Facebook Live right now. We're on YouTube Live and Facebook Live right now. So if you are on the IG, I'm actually about to close this thing in a minute after we talk about the More Than a Vibe Award, but y'all can catch the rest of it if y'all just go jump on right now. Just jump on YouTube or Facebook. So make sure y'all come check us out. But we're going to talk about this award. I do think we agree about the More Than a Vibe Award. And I think in ways that are both, material and also very interesting to watch and also sad, but I'm glad we were able to celebrate with her to watch. I think the More Than a Vibe Award goes to Megan Thee Stallion. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that her courage, I think that her optimism, I think her willingness to speak out and not let a narrative be twisted and tangled up without her being able to defend herself. I think her making herself vulnerable to the point where niggas start snitching on themselves. Drake, I ain't forgot about the bullshit, the lyrics you made, right? I ain't forgot about the punchlines niggas was trying to come up with. And listen, feel how you want to feel about it. But Megan has forced a conversation about victim blaming in our community that has exposed a lot of niggas, exposed a lot of people, exposed a lot of women, and exposed a lot of kind of very problematic perception and views people have about when people come out to tell their story. Let's not forget that Megan took specific steps that night to try to protect Tory Lanez and make sure that he wasn't treated any old particular way by the problematic ass police. And she got treated with dust. Her own friend, Kelsey, was a part of the campaign to make sure that her career wouldn't recover and that Tory Lanez was to be protected. And so I think, Megan got us talking about abusive relationships, her situation, and her keeping her head high has given us a great example of, strength and perseverance and faith and knowing the truth is gonna come out and not being afraid to tell your truth in the face of niggas, men who are supposed to protect you, looking in your face and calling you a stone cold liar. Her being in the media every single day, every single shade room and academic post. It's a lot of people who showed their teeth on that woman in terrible ways. And I really just hate that she had to go through it the ways that she did. But I think she was a great example for how you put that shit on your back and you push through. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, I'm on Instagram. I follow Meg Thee Stallion. She doesn't post. She hasn't posted anything. She ain't been on social media. Her birthday, she's a February baby. So she was just out recently celebrating her birthday. And so I saw pictures of that. But she been low. She been in the cuts. And a lot of people been saying, yo, we miss Meg. We miss her presence, this and the other. But we really just hope she's healing. And so that's really my sincere hope, is that she's been able to take some time to really sit back and, you know, recover from the way that the court of public opinion flogged her and shamed her and did her bad. But also, I mean, this woman got shot. Like, we can't forget that. Her feet was messed up. And we know the knees is connected to them feet. You know, the ankle bone connected to the knee bone connected to the hip bone. So when you know Megan to go and do all the things we know her to do, you know, we want her to be able to do that in great fashion, which means taking a seat back and being able to, you know, bounce back and recover and heal. So the award goes to Meg Thee Stallion. Speak on it.
No, I mean, it ain't, you pretty much put it together pretty good. I mean, ultimately, a lot of motherfuckers got, I don't even want to say exposed. I think they got proven to be hypocrites or liars, really. I think a large part of the argument around domestic violence and when misogynists attempt to play the victim and call misandry and all that other shit, it stemmed from literally that, man, when women say anything, people believe them. But the loudest voices weren't from the supporters of Meg Thee Stallion. It was the people that was calling her a liar. You know what I mean? When we know she got shot in the foot, when we like, I mean, there's evidence that the police was there, right? They came because guns were fired, right? Somebody was injured from the whole ordeal, and like niggas that look at all this evidence, and you got somebody as influential, especially on the minds of young hip hop fans, right? Like just straight up pushing this narrative around like Meg is a liar. You know what I mean? And what I think what it displayed is that, and what I hope it displayed was that even in instances where there's this narrative that the victim should be blamed, that somebody's lying, that they manipulate in the system, that there is a reason and a purpose behind pursuing and pushing back against that, right? Like ultimately those voices may be loud, but as long as we keep fighting and really making sure that like people get they just do, you know what I'm saying? Like I had to reckon with like the whole question of I'm against the police, but when you got a nigga putting his hands on a woman, like what, bro? Like, you got to deal with what's coming to you. You feel me? Like you can't play that black man victim card with me. Like Tory, like when Tory Lane's father came out the courtroom talking about this is the greatest injustice ever. Like you gotta be Canadian, my nigga. Like this ain't nothing close to an injustice, bro. This is niggas putting themselves in stupid situations and paying the piper. So, you know,
Lex Luxury Skin said her website is also really good. They give a lot of information about domestic violence, self-love, and more. And apparently it's called Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too, which is a fact. I can attest to that. I've lived it myself. So go ahead and check out Bad Bitches Have Bad Days Too. And we'll go ahead and tap in with that. Now, if y'all just tap in on the IG, I need y'all to do me a favor and jump over to the YouTube. We on YouTube Live right now. We on Facebook Live right now. I'm about to shut this down. But I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I just want to give y'all a little taste so y'all know where to go every Thursday night from 7:30 PST or 9:30 CST, right? Until we decide to get done. So now you know what to do every Thursday. But go ahead and meet me over here on the Chop Up Awards. I'm about to shut this down.
And if y'all on here on the YouTube and y'all ain't subscribed to the Instagram yet or follow us on Instagram yet, follow us at the Chop Up Show.
Get it together
on Instagram.
Get on Instagram and look for. Get on YouTube right now and just look for the Chop Up Show. We right there. It's easy to find. Just type up the Chop Up Show. We'll pop up live right there for you. Bye, Instagram. Peace.
All right. So the next award for the night is the We Love You But Awards.
Yeah.
We love you, but so if y'all haven't noticed, we try to keep it balanced, right? It's some shit that we need to recognize. It's a part of black people, black culture that we need to call out in order for, because this is the history. So we got to be on the right part of history. We're calling out certain things. Black people, we love y'all, but we calling out certain things. Toya, would you mind explaining the We Love You But award to the people?
we love you, but means, you know, you're doing some great and amazing things. We appreciate you, what you contribute to the culture, maybe some of the skills and the talents that you share with us. However, oh my God, however, it's some shit we just can't get with. And we would like for you to go ahead and take a step back and look at yourself and maybe readjust. You know, so we love you, but this not some shit we can rock with. Now, you know, a couple of nominees before you actually drop who wins this award that I was kind of thinking about is, you know, I still think we're trying to figure out what we're doing with Kyrie. You know, I think there's a level.
Kyrie is my guy.
You know, I mean, and I can't stand him from a Celtic perspective, but people are trying to find compassion for a black man who deserves the right to stand on what he believes, even outside of anti-Semitic shit, right? And have some of the grievances that he has, and to participate in the NBA like a business, right? Is he wants to exercise his ability. You know, he was recently released from the Nets. He's now a Dallas Maverick. He requested a trade.
He was traded. Yes. Spencer Dinwiddie.
For Spencer, who came from, he was already up in Brooklyn, so he went back. But in doing this, you know, he's been seen as kind of a martyr in a lot of ways. Somebody who has had to fall on the sword for the right of black men to go into spaces and places and make sure their culture, their identity, their politics are represented, and they get to treat shit like a job and not too much more than that, right? So I don't know. I'm interested in on the fringes of these conversations. I really don't got a lot of love for Kyrie, but he's somebody who is a complicated mixed bag of nuts, if you will. And so we're trying to see what we do with him. But outside of that honorable mention, shout out to y'all in the comments. Ali, Leslie, Trevor was good with it. Robert, y'all definitely are being amazing. Miss Myasia, I seen you tapping in with us. Plug, who wins the We Love You But award for this year?
Man, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it to the boy Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon.
Yeah,
let's talk about
the fourth annual Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Awards, presented by the Chop Up Show. Thank y'all for joining us again.
Absolutely.
Nick Cannon wins the We Love You But Black History Month Award. This is why we can speak on the kids, which I'm sure you know. Toya, you can speak on the kids. I want to speak on. I want to speak on the fake pro-black shit.
Okay.
Can we do it? What happened to the Dr. Sebi talk? What happened to the conversations with Rizza Islam? What happened to the conversations about white supremacy in the criminal justice system and in the school to prison pipeline and the ways in which our religion has been whitewashed? And what happens to Cannon class?
Yeah.
What happened, bro? I was one of the niggas that was protect Nick Cannon, because Nick Cannon, even if I didn't agree with all of the Dr. Sebi rhetoric and all of, you know, that propaganda, I still felt that what Nick Cannon was doing was, bro, like he wasn't a street nigga, he wasn't a hood nigga, he wasn't all of those things, but at the same time, he's saying that as somebody who's considered mainstream, who you don't get more mainstream than Nick Cannon, you feel me? But as somebody who was considered mainstream, and then to reach out and be like, I'm going to make these conversations that black people are having, I'm gonna highlight them, I'm gonna make them bigger, and then the nigga to be like, and then after you lose your show because you talking about, you know, white, like calling people demons, and you feel me? you went off the deep end, bro, because you was doing too much. Like, yeah, you like we appreciated the level that you was at, but you was like, I want to go full head on, and you suffered the consequences. And what happened is, when you felt the consequences, you flinched. You flinched, Nick Cannon. You was on your black nationalist, you know what I'm saying, pro-black shit, and then they was like, all right, nigga, you did that shit too much. Now there's no more wilding out. Now that shit gone. You flinched, bro. And that's what we as radical black thinkers constantly have to deal with, is when we see people that we think exist in the mainstream highlighting the conversations that we haven't, when they gotta suffer the consequences and really show why that shit is considered radical and this is considered mainstream, they always go back to the mainstream and then abandon all those radical black thoughts that they spurred up, that they got all that credibility from. So we love you, bro. I appreciate what you did, and I appreciate what you know what I'm saying, what you was trying to do, but nah, like, you flinched, bro. And one day we'll get deeper into that, you know, what we mean when we talk about flinching. You know what I mean? But
absolutely.
But yeah,
Well,
go ahead, T.
I'll do the top level easy analysis on him and touch him on being a delinquent father. I literally think on different mothers of his 12 children have made public comments about his inability to kind of be there to support. I think Mariah Carey did. I forget about one of the other ones who also made comments about his kind of lack of a presence and some of the influence that it's had. And so it proved a lot of people right who was just like, we don't care how much money you have from Wildin' Out and from America's Got Talent and from Drumline and from your music career. We don't care how much money that totals out to that you're able to, spend on these kids. There's no way possible you can be a meaningful and impactful father when you live the life that you live in the way that you live it. And so I'm gonna stand by that. I think his relationship there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. Some people say because he has lupus, he's having these kids in order to leave his, self on earth, or that and prep pieces of him in a lot of different ways still here on earth in case he dies. A lot of other people say because lupus is an autoimmune disease, that there's some relationship between having all these babies and being able to use some of their body functions and fluids and things. And then there's just a lot of conversations about why he has all these kids, and I just think he's bad at decision making. I don't think that I care beyond the fact that I just think it's really stupid to have a whole bunch of kids with a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of different households and pretend like that is a healthy or logical thing to do. Because what you end up with, here's what you end up with: a whole bunch of people without your money and without your resources and without your capacity following along with the playbook and thinking that that's a half decent idea. So yeah, not a vibe. We love you, but you can keep that. That goes to Nick Cannon, and I'm hopeful that, you can't put the kids back in once they out. Once you bake that cake been baked. So the kids gonna be out here in the world. I just hope that, and it's not my business. I guess it kind of is, but it's kind of not. But I just hope you're a good daddy, and I hope you continue to do things,
Right.
that uplift and push the culture in the right direction, because you have had some opportunities and some great contributions to do some great things. So Nick Cannon is Nick Cannon. We love you, but my boy.
And the last thing I quickly say about that is you got to make sure that like niggas can't just be like, well, he providing for them. He making sure that it ain't enough. Like we know that ain't enough. Like you got black men be there for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like just being like, well, I make sure that my kids get okay. Do they get your time? Period. And this man is having these multiple kids with all these different women. Yes, the women are gonna be taken care of. The children are gonna be taken care of because Nick Cannon has a lot of money. But emotionally, mentally, I got one child. You feel me? And just the what it takes for that connection to Nick Cannon don't hear that daddy, just every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that means something though. You know what I'm saying? Because especially as niggas who like Nick Cannon didn't grow up with his dad like that. I ain't really grow up with a father like that. Like, so yeah, you able to take care of them, but just for them to be able to call your name and don't really want shit, that's meaningful, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's meaningful. And to deny your kids that just because you kind of sow your oats, like that's irresponsible.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love you, bro, but nah, do better. Moving on. Now I think from here on out, it's just all good vibes. It's just all good vibes. So I want to do the Rest in Power Award. The Rest in Power Award. And it's difficult with this award because it's it's the people that we lost over the last year. Because we are talking about everything that happened over 2022. Y'all, we on 2023, we only a month into 2 months into the game.
Absolutely.
Right. We lost Sidney Poitier last year. And I'm talking about OG in the game, like OG in the game. First black man to win the Oscar for what was the name of that movie? Because I know ain't none of y'all seen it, but it is what it is. I forget the name of the movie that he won an Oscar for, but he was the first black man to win an Oscar. He was also known for a commercially successful movie about interracial relationships, known as Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Right. Sidney Poitier is recognized as the first black man to display the image of a black man on the silver screen that wasn't based in a stereotype, that wasn't based in a some caricature of blackness that Hollywood wants people to laugh at. And so me personally, my first introduction to Sidney Poitier, which actually changed really how I looked at literature and got me in the theater, was Raising in the Sun. Which was you look at it like a black tragedy, but like as I've grown and experienced more of the world, it's actually just kind of it's more of a narrative that Black people experienced that particular story. Lilies of the Field. Thank you, Leslie Young.
Is the name of the movie.
Lilies of the Field. That's why I love Chop Nation because y'all smart.
Period.
Like our audience is smart.
I mean,
we can be like, go ahead.
No, we can be like, what is it? What is it? And somebody fill the gap for us every time. Like it's just a family situation. Excuse me. I was gonna say about Sidney Poitier is just he's your fave, right? So when you look at the careers of your Denzel Washingtons, your Lawrence Fishburnes, your James Earl Joneses, a lot of them look back and point back to Sidney Poitier as being somebody who was hyper influential to their presence and their ability to move and flow throughout this craft in the ways that they have. And I think Mahershala Ali is somebody who also has accredited and had to Sidney Poitier. So many different figures, both Black men and then, of course, women who have just grown in the craft and appreciated the trailblazing of a Black man like Sidney Poitier, Bohemian-born but American famous actor who has really done some amazing things and has been a part of a lot of big conversations about how we present ourselves on screen and get the credibility and the respect we deserve in that industry. So rest in power. Got to give our love to, got to give our respect to somebody we lost last year, the top of last year, Sidney Poitier.
And remember, we complain about the images of Black people today. Like Sidney Poitier was the first Black man to display Blackness in a way that wasn't shaped and created to fit a particular narrative, to make certain people feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So like when we talk about first, because Sidney, he got a lot of criticism over him being in an interracial relationship, and guess who's coming to dinner, like displaying those politics and kind of like a lot of the first Blacks that they get that pushback about being the acceptable Negro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's also worth noting that movie and that particular kind of parallel has been replicated a million times over, right? How many rom-coms have we seen? The most recent is the one with Jonah Hill and Lauren London. What is it called?
I ain't watched it.
I forgot. I didn't intentionally fall asleep on it because there's been a lot of controversy and conversation about it.
Man, I know what you're talking about.
You know, I think there was a Bernie Mac version of it with Ashton Kutcher in it.
Ashton Kutcher, yeah.
You know, and so a bunch of different examples of that particular prototype. And we've seen ways of making it into a comedy and making it more socially adaptable and acceptable as our society has transformed itself to become more engaging with interracial relationships. But it's worth looking at. Something Nico also pointed out.
Nico with the Black History trivia that matters.
Yeah.
Sidney Poitier, the fact that was actually about to be my next point, because he gets criticized for displaying one of the first interracial relationships in the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but we forget that he was the first Black man to because then Denzel get your hands, like, you know what I'm saying? That you don't get the Denzel get your hands off me without Sidney Poitier slapping the white man. You people. Leslie Young is on fire. Rob Robinson, but Leslie on fire.
In our minds while we're on the go, that we don't necessarily always get a chance to prep. It's just like, oh yeah, about that. And so sometimes we blanking, but y'all never let us think. You know, y'all never let us look wild out here. So shout out to y'all, Kimya. Thank you for pulling up on us tonight. We definitely appreciate you for that. And yeah, Ali, that's what we was talking about, this joint with Lauren London. So y'all check it out. It's been a lot of social commentary about it, whether it's good, whether it's bad. One of the most interesting things about it is that in this particular movie, Lauren London and Jonah Hill don't kiss. The kiss that they do share is like CGI or whatever. So a lot of people are critical about that and wondering why they didn't kiss and this and this. But from what I saw, I laughed a couple times. Like, it wasn't that bad. And it has Eddie Murphy in it. Nia Long is in it. I forgot who his parents are. Anne Louise Dreyfus, I think is her name. Julie, Louise Dreyfus. I don't know. A popular, famous white woman is his mama, and I forgot her name. But check it out. It's on YouTube. It's on Netflix, and I know a lot of us might be canceling our subscriptions here soon. We won't go down that path, but catch it on Netflix while you can before they stop password sharing, and we all have to cancel our subscriptions with them. Right. Coming soon. We'll talk about that later. Next topic.
Moving on. The next category is the James Baldwin Award to LGBTQ excellence. The James Baldwin Award for LGBTQ excellence. For this award, this is another unanimous one. This one goes to Brittany Greiner. The James Baldwin Award for LGBTQ excellence goes to Brittany Greiner. And that's because the circumstances that she's endured, her making it back home and getting her a new NBA contract, as one of the OG vets, one of the goats of the WNBA, getting that opportunity again to be back on the court after being a Russian political prisoner. Let it be known, Brittany Greiner was not in prison for whatever they found her with. Brittany Greiner was in jail because of the tension between the United States and Russia. And so, Toya, what? Go ahead and you speak on it first.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to recognize that I think a lot of people were split. You know, I watch a lot of sports commentary and listen to a lot of, or follow a lot of sports blogs and Twitter feeds and things like that, different Bleacher Report accounts, all different types of places I get a lot of my sports news from. And I feel like the sports community and the Black community were very, very split about her having the cannabis, having the THC. Some people were like, if you break a law, you know, you do the crime, you do the time. I'm not really sensitive. I'm not worried about it. I don't really care. You know, she should have known what she was doing beforehand. We don't care about doctor's notes. We are, you know, very privileged as Americans and do what we want to. And so she played herself. And then there are other people who were just like, this is terrible. Of course, the different examples, if this was LeBron James, he would have never been over there that long. He would have got his ass on the plane and got him back over here immediately. Right. A lot of issues with the amount of time it took, the lack of delicacy, the fact that she was getting lost every other week in the system and people couldn't find her. There was a lot of criticism about it. But my take is, regardless of how you feel about the actual crime that she committed in having the cannabis oil and the vape pen or whatever, is, and I'm gonna be real frank about this, nigga, you can't survive in regular prison and probably not in no Russian prison either. So she gets this award not because she was excused from a crime that she actually did commit, or whether or not she deserved sanctuary in the United States because, you know, we should have been treating her better and it just should have been easier than that. No, she wins this award because being in Russian prison is hard, right? I'm certain the mental weight, the social weight, being in a different place, in a different country, not speaking the language, you a 6 foot plus Black woman who don't speak Russian, you look very masculine, right? This is a country that wasn't trying to rock with the Pussy Riot. So they're not really trying to hear nothing about no queer women and their freedom and what they need and their demands and their rights and shit like that. And so the fact that she was able to be returned to her family and to her wife, she shout out to her for getting signing a 1 year contract with the Phoenix Mercury. So she's going to be back on the court and a part of a great team that has a chance to make a championship run. Like, I really feel like, you know, feel how you want to feel about the crime she committed, but shout out to her for staying resilient, staying together, keeping her mental together, staying focused enough to find herself back.
Rob, that's a lot.
And I know you want to chime in on this. What about the trade we made with Russia? Do you all agree? How do we feel about the pieces that, in the way that the chips fell in terms of how we bartered that deal? So political plug. Go ahead and speak and give some insight on how we feel about the trade.
So the conversation around the trade was that Brittany Greiner was traded for a Russian's arms dealer. The original trade setup that they had was they wanted Brittany Greiner and Marine Paul Whelan as well, who was also a political prisoner in Russia. And that was a trade that the Russians declined. But they ended up doing a 1-for-1 trade, Brittany Greiner for the Russian's arms dealer. Like I'm talking about he's known like as help arming some of the most dangerous people.
The dealer of death, the death dealer.
Yeah, like he's armed some of the most dangerous brown people in the world. And so but my response to that criticism is that, one, Brittany Greiner should have never been a bargaining piece in United States geopolitics. She doesn't benefit from that interaction. The United States versus Russia doesn't do any, as a queer Black woman, as a queer athletic Black woman, right? As a queer masculine Black woman, everything that she represents is, the United States attempts to push back against.
Yeah.
Right. Brittany Greiner and her image and who she is not something that's considered acceptable. When niggas is like they cool with gays, but Brittany Greiner is the butt, right? You know what I'm saying? And so ultimately, it's like when they're like, well, Paul Whelan should have been, Brittany Greiner should, as a black woman, the fact that they made the decision to free her, regardless of, again, the geopolitical implications, that's we as black people got to sit back and be like, about freaking time.
Yeah.
That ain't because it didn't benefit the United States as a whole to do that trade. We can question there was still some interest convergence there, right? Like there's definitely a relationship that they trying to mend, that they know that this is one of the few times that we've seen in history that the United States government is saying, we're gonna choose the black person in this instance.
All right.
Not the serviceman, not the soldier. White people, yeah, they gonna be mad about that. But as black folk, that's a dub. That's something that's overall slept on. Like their anger that they let her out and they kept him in.
You know, you say this, and I'm just like, I feel the frustration and understanding. The objective version of me who really tries to just understand the way people work and values and principles and ethics and morals that we have as a country, as a nation, whatever that means from moment to moment, gets the desire to want to pay back service people for the things that they've done. You have a Navy soldier who has been captured in Carlton and has become a political pawn as well. But the more critical minded, more left-leaning, oriented individual who really understands my priorities recognizes that over my blackness, I'm not about to valorize or overvalue, right? I'm going to equitably value, but not overvalue and overdetermine the worth of somebody who goes and participates in wars that this United States picks and creates and causes and we probably shouldn't be a part of in the first place, right? I don't know the particularities of his deployment, but I'm also not somebody who sits up here and wallows. And I think that was what was fake to me. Is like all of a sudden niggas were patriots. It felt like we needed to value the soldiers who defended our country. Like, how? And I get it. Black people, black people have an interesting relationship with the military. I'm not going to undermine that. I know for a lot of ways and a lot of people that was your ability to get a leg up and upper mobility against society. Like, so it's complicated. It's complicated. But I'm always going to the fact that I'm happy this black woman came home, and you're not finna make me regret any of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Another thing Leslie brings up is when we look at why Brittany Greiner was in Russia in the first place, she wasn't on vacation, baby. There's a reason. The WNBA and women in general, their labor is undervalued. And so they have to go over more often, even though NBA players typically do as well, or I won't say typically, but also have to do to go.
Dwight Howard is in China right now.
Killing it. He said he was going to go kill it because he didn't get picked or traded to any teams out here. And he went out there and did what he said he's going to do. But with Brittany Greiner, she is one of many examples of why you have to go out and work yourself in this capitalist system to live to earn a decent wage equivalent to your level of stature. She's one of the WNBA's biggest talents, right? One of the most noticeable faces that you can see in the league all the way back to her Baylor days, right? So when you think about who she is and what she represents, it's really kind of troubling to know that this is what they have to do in the first place to get amount of money that is associated or is equitable to the value that they give to the game. So the James Baldwin award is probably given to Brittany Greiner. Shout out to her for pushing through. We got a couple more awards we want to get to. Plug, what's the next one on the list?
The next one on the list is the Living Black History Award. Black History. And the Living Black History Award is set up for us to be able to recognize that every day that passed is our history. Mm-hmm. And we shouldn't be looking back 50 years to talk about Black history when we have people doing things that people are going to look back 50 years from saying that changed the game. And so the Living Black History Award is dedicated to those who are changing Black history today. And the winner of the Living Black History Award for the 4th Annual Black History Month Awards, Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Awards, Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Easy.
The first Black woman on the Supreme Court. And the reason why I thought that this was so important to recognize is that most often, especially with Kamala Harris, there was this conversation about Black women being in office, but it was like tempered by this idea that it's more symbolic than it is productive. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you look at somebody like Kamala Harris, it's like, oh, it's not that she's about to change the game or change the world or do anything. It's the fact that she's there that's important. Mm-hmm. And I've always argued that symbolism is definitely a good thing. Toya's agree with the significance of it, but also kind of felt like, we need to move past that,
Yeah.
which I agree with. But I think what happens with Ketanji Brown Jackson is that with her being on the Supreme Court, that means that the voice, the perspective, the understanding, the knowledge, the experiences of a Black woman will now dictate the ways in which the Constitution is interpreted. For those who don't know, if you need a quick civic lesson, the role of the Supreme Court is really just to decide whether or not something is constitutional. Its job is to interpret the Supreme Court for the people and for the other two branches of government. And so having a Black woman on that seat, because somebody like Thurgood Marshall, who's the first Black person ever on the Supreme Court, was not just symbolic. That man changed the game. The nigga that we hate the most, Clarence Thomas, not just symbolic. Decisions that he's been on the majority side of has changed and shaped America.
Yeah,
not for the better, right? Not for the better, really, in a lot of ways, but the fact that he's been a part of that. He's been a part of.
I think now, for better for worse, demonstration that Blackness is not a monolith, right? Which Ketanji Brown Jackson continues to enrich the perspective of, but he adds perspective that reminds us that our niggas ain't the same and we cannot govern ourselves accordingly. That in order to really get and push the needle and be mindful of how we move and groove through different situations, through different eras, through different generations, through different political orientations or political moments and eras, we need to be mindful of how other niggas outside of our particular echo chamber exist and the speaking points that they regurgitate. It's other niggas in other spaces who are validating maybe some of the perspectives we don't agree with, and we need to be keen to how they move and how they think. So that's just giving more credence, not credibility, but I give more credence to the impact and significance of your boy Clarence Thomas the First.
And that's and as somebody who who enjoys legal writing and appreciates the the archived information, I'm interested in seeing what she has to provide, right, in terms of like the way that she interprets not just issues as it pertains to Black, just constitutional issues, period.
Absolutely.
But the one thing that we know as Black people that we can't separate ourselves from is how our experiences as Black people shape the way that we view things like the Constitution. Even though Ketanji Brown Jackson comes from a family of law enforcement, like she has a father and an uncle in law enforcement, she had another uncle who's locked up for a victimless nonviolent crime, which kind of helps spur and spark that understanding both sides of the legal field to get her to this position. And so to be able to have a Black woman occupy that role and to see that that perspective is being included in how the Constitution is being interpreted is amazing. Anything else you want to add to it?
I mean, I think you said it all. I think, whereas I think presidents, and even, to an extent, you want objective views of the law, but I think it's exciting to allow for her perspective to be valued so much that it is contextualized as a Black woman's lens or eyes or perspective on the law. Like, of course, her decision won't be couched in that, but to understand that, like you said, the way that she has filtered through these decisions through the perspective of the Constitution will be refined in a certain way to have to account for certain voices that she has already made it clear that she's indebted to, that she has worked to defend. And, her confirmation here was proof that she is very mindful of the ways that systemic and structural violences happen and exist to shape the world around us. And I say that because I think she has a little bit more flexibility to represent those ideals than a Black president, for example, right? I think she gets to be the Black woman Supreme Court justice, whereas Barack Obama couldn't be the Black president, right? And so it's some interesting overlaps there. Like you said, I'm interested and excited to read some of her decisions and ways she thinks about things. Shout out to Consciously in the chat. We are just really excited to see what she does and how she continues to shape our relationship to the Constitution as a nation, constantly revisiting what that document means to us.
So, with that being said, we'll get to our last award for the night. We want to thank all of y'all for joining us. We got Conscious Lee in the chat. He should actually be at your house soon.
Any minute now, he's going to be at the door. So let's go ahead and do that.
So the last award that we gonna get to, y'all, and again, shout out to Ketanji Brown Jackson. Black women, thank y'all for what y'all like. y'all been the most like the reports that came out. Y'all the most educated. You feel me? Y'all the most effective, smartest people in the rooms. You feel me? Holding white supremacy accountable in the forms of Donald Trump. Looking, people like we finally got a balance to Clarence Thomas in terms of black people. You feel me? On the Supreme Court. Like, thank you. You feel me? Like, thank you. But with that being said, we're gonna get into the last category, and it wouldn't be real if two Kansas City folk, City folk weren't able to represent for one of our own. You know what I mean? Even though he's from Texas, he ours now. And this is the Kobe Bryant Award. The Kobe Bryant Award for the 4th annual Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Award goes to none other than the future GOAT, greatest of all time quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. The Kobe Bryant Award goes to Patrick Mahomes. Now, before we get into the football standing, what Patrick Mahomes has been doing in Kansas City, like we both from Kansas City, we both from, when we say we from Kansas City, we from the heart of it. So Patrick Mahomes has made it a effort to make sure that his presence in Kansas City impacts the communities in Kansas City. What he has started is what's known as the 15 and the Homies Foundation. 15 and the Homies Foundation.
And it's telling them about I'm about to go unlock my door real quick.
Okay, yeah, she's about to go get lead. But with the 15 and the Homies Foundation, it is a nonprofit that Patrick Mahomes started to make sure that not that he just focused on one particular individual issue in Kansas City, but making sure that people who are already doing things in Kansas City are getting the proper funding, are getting the proper resources to do what it is that they does. For first off, the first program that he has for the 15 and Homies is the Read for 15 program. Where Read for 15 is a program to encourage children to develop a love for reading. Children and their parents can take the Read for 15 pledge for a chance to win prizes and be a part of a 15-week program. This is what I think the dopest is what he has is the 15 for 15 program, which is the foundation's signature program, which supports 15 youth charitable initiatives that focus on academics, science, the arts, classroom supplies, athletics, children with disabilities, after-school programs, and more. So they find 15 programs in the United States that are dedicated to the children of Kansas City, and they make sure that they give them the resources, grants, and funding to make sure that those programs are successful. And then they have the Volunteer for 15 program, which is a partnership between the 15 and the Homies and the Youth Volunteer Corps to encourage the youth and young adults in Kansas City to volunteer and take part in the different programs.
Don't leave us. Leslie said I'm tapping out. I'm from Philly. Listen, you gotta love him. You gotta love the man. You gotta listen. We telling you why you gotta love this man. So don't leave just yet.
And so what the Volunteer for 15 program does is it encourages youth in Kansas City between the ages of 11 to 18 to do at least 15 hours of volunteer work for the summer. 15. And see, and y'all gotta understand these programs. What make it so significant is not just that it's another athlete that's just putting money in the community. Patrick Mahomes is one of the biggest athletes in the world right now. Yeah. Kansas City is not in terms of like world-class cities, it ain't up there like that. Yeah, I mean, we don't get that type of attention. We don't get that type of resources.
I mean, it's think the narrative is changing, but for right now, we underrated.
No, I know. I mean, but and that's a part of it though. Like the Chiefs being who they are and providing with, they was fucking on that Philly pack. But the Chiefs being who they are and providing what they are, and Patrick Mahomes providing and doing what he's doing for Kansas City is huge, and we definitely appreciate that work. Being people who come from Kansas. Toya went to Lincoln, so she went to the good school. I went to the school that could use the 15 and the Mahomes. Yeah, you feel me? Matter of fact, have they closed Central down yet? I don't even think my school, the school I graduated from,
is no longer open to serve students.
The school I graduated from is no longer in existence. Yeah. So the more money we can get for Black kids in Kansas City, man, please, like, thank you, Patrick Mahomes.
He unveiled a park. Tell me if you know the park I'm talking about. It's on Brush Creek. It's right by Paseo, and it's Martin Luther King Park. It is an old, dilapidated. It was where a bunch of tennis courts were. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Like where Brush Creek is. Unveiled a new park, whole new system structure out there to play on and to swing on. I got a chance to visit it, and I love it. I want to, as we close out this show and we talk about Patrick Mahomes, get some niggas together real quick. Because you know the narrative around the Super Bowl, we know that Patrick Mahomes, I mentioned this at the top of the last show, is a two-time NFL MVP. He is a two-time Super Bowl MVP. He's also a two-time Super Bowl champion. And so when we check the resume, we know that this is a bad black man doing beautiful black things in the sometimes anti-black NFL, which is beautiful in and of itself. But that particular Super Bowl 57, was championed as the first Super Bowl with two black quarterbacks. And that's what it was. This is the Black History Awards. So that's the reason why we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. But of course, in all the ways that are toxic and problematic, we had the super skeptical niggas who had to jump in and be like, well, Patrick Mahomes isn't black because he only half black and he got a white wife and he got these white ass kids and this and that, whatever. And he's diluting the bloodline and all this weird shit. And I need for y'all to recognize, right, the complex orientation and relationship we have toward blackness and the agency and autonomy people have, especially if they got at least one black grandparent, to have some stake in the conversation about how they understand and identify their blackness. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes deny that he was a black man. I've only seen him embrace his black identity and talk about himself in terms of especially the black social issues that happened. That man was loud and he was speaking boldly during George Floyd, right? He wasn't missing or behind or out of the way. He doesn't hide his father, who is apparently from Bryant, Texas. I didn't know that, but is a former MLB Hall of Fame.
Shout out to G. Lee.
Right? Pat Mahomes Sr., who has done beautiful and amazing things in the MLB. And so that is a black man. Stop trying to underscore and take away and deny and dim his light for the sake of another black man. Jalen Hurts gonna get his shine. Jalen Hurts is represented by great management. He has a beautiful girlfriend. He's living a beautiful start to his NFL career. He's gonna get all the accolades he's going to, in addition to the ones he got. All people talked about was praising his effort and the work he did in that Super Bowl and have given him
an amazing job. That man did an amazing job.
So let him stand on that by himself. He is a strong, powerful black man, and so is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick L. Mahomes, number 2. That's a badass black man, and y'all will respect him as such.
Actually, his middle initial is F.
No, it ain't.
Patrick fucking Mahomes.
Yes, it is.
Right. Let's get it right. The last thing I'll say on this before we close out this 4th annual Carter G. Woodson Black History Month Awards is when it comes to blackness, we gotta understand that shit is it's not this blood thing to where you got half black blood, so he ain't fully black. It don't work like that. Blackness don't work like that. The last thing black people need to do is adhere themselves to some type of blood quantum, you know what I'm saying? Some type of genetic purity. Right, with some type of racial purity. It don't exist, right? What makes blackness what it is the multiplicity, the multifaceted nature, you know what I'm saying, that goes into creating what blackness is. You know what I'm saying? And that man feels because of his father, feels the reverberation of chattel slavery. When he came in the NFL and people questioned his decision making, they didn't question his decision making because of what he did on the field, because he actually balled. I remember when he played against Oklahoma, he dueled at Texas Tech. He dueled OU and what's in LA, the white boy,
USC.
My boy, what's the quarterback name for that quarterback? Baker Mayfield. He went up against Baker Mayfield and he out-dueled Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield was the number 1 draft that year, right? So don't get it twisted. You feel me? That man feels the reverberation when they thought that he couldn't be a good decision maker. When they said that they didn't think he was that smart, he was a bad decision. He was gonna be a project. G. Lee, what up with your boy?
Shout out to everybody that Chop Nation. I was supposed to get here earlier. Shout out to Delta Airlines. Y'all really trashed today.
Oh my God.
I ain't gonna.
It's the weather.
I got a Delta flight tomorrow.
It's just the storms that are coming into LA County that ain't never been here before. It's ridiculous, right? So
fresh twist over
here.
Man,
we're trying to keep up. Hey, my brother here. Let's go ahead and put a pin in this. It's been a wonderful Black History Month award. Shout out to Pat Mahomes. Y'all already know what we love and who we love over here at the Chop Up Show. If y'all joined in late, because the numbers kind of spiked a little bit late, y'all need to go watch the whole show. Y'all need to be in the comments wherever you see it. making sure that y'all, if y'all disagree with our takes, if y'all disagree, hit a love, hit a like too. I definitely appreciate whoever just dropped a love. Drop a love, drop a like, drop a follow. Keep track of what we got going on here with the Chop Up Show. Consciously done dropped in here. I'm excited to have my brother around, man. But more importantly, I'm excited to spend this Thursday night with y'all. So it's been a great awards to me. Leave comments on our YouTube. Leave comments on our Apple Podcast if that's where you listen, and whatever y'all doing. Just make sure y'all stay tapped in with the show because we got a beautiful March ahead of us. Plug, what's your final words before we get up out of here?
So real quick before we go, I definitely want to point out I had a loss in my family more recently. My mom's best friend, who is like an aunt to me, her kids is like my cousins. Like when we talk about that black cousin relationship, like her kids is like cousins, brothers and sisters. She lost her life. Vanessa Chapman lost her life to metastatic breast cancer this past Saturday. Like she was a big part of my upbringing and my family, and this is my first time losing somebody this close to me to cancer. And so it's really, I'm going to Kansas City this weekend for the funeral. And cancer it's no joke, man. It ain't no joke. And you know, my mother was there taking care of her for a lot of her time. Her son is actually locked up right now. So shout out to my nigga. You know what I mean? He going through it. You feel me? And you know what I'm saying? I just want to, you know, y'all pray for, you know, they family and everything that, you know, that they're going through. So, you know, it's crazy to even think about being like in prison and losing your mother. And my people going through that right now. So just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, blessings up, prayers up, you know what I mean? And you know, thank her for everything that she contributed to my life. Vanessa, I love you. And yeah, we out.
Hey, real quick before you push that button, Trevor, Miss My Asia, Rob, Leslie, Nico, Kimya, listen, y'all kept the conversation alive in here. Rob, I think I said Rob's name already. I said it twice though because I got big love for y'all. Sending condolences and our thoughts and prayers with the plug, traveling grace and mercy, getting there and getting back. And shout out to Leslie for hitting that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing. And we appreciate y'all rocking with us and celebrating with us. Until next Thursday, y'all be good, be safe, be careful out there. Y'all stay warm and still a little bit frigid out there in some places, but more than anything, y'all stay connected, stay tapped in. We'll see y'all later. It's the Chop Up Show.
Peace.